Slowly, my trembling hand lifted to knock on the door. Then I paused. As is typical for me, I second-guessed my choice to come. I questioned all of the decisions that led to this moment, actually. I wondered, did the MapQuest directions I clutched in my sweaty palm prove that I was a stalker? I mean, true, I would have preferred to be the one being pursued rather than the one doing the pursuing, yet here I was. A million taunting voices raced through my head as I contemplated my next move. And I heard, "You shouldn't be here." And then the guilt set in. But I'm not a homewrecker, I reminded myself. I don't want to cause problems for any marriage or family. But maybe this was a mistake. I mean, what if I get attacked for being here? And worst of all, what if my presence on this porch makes me a traitor? What if my knock on that door breaks my mom's heart? After all, she was the one who raised me. She was the one who supported me. She was the one who loved me since the day I was born. But surely there's nothing wrong with a kid wanting to meet their dad, right? So I did it. I knocked on that door, and I waited for what felt like an entire lifetime. After all, it took 18 years to bring me to that moment. Standing on that concrete porch alone, with sweat beginning to make an appearance, I nervously anticipated what was about to happen. I had pretty much already imagined every possible scenario, the worst case being that I would be rejected, yet again. But here's what happened. The door swung open, and a dark-skinned college boy appeared, the oldest of my 4 half-siblings. I'd always wondered if we looked alike, and now I knew. But he didn't. He had no clue who I was. I simply asked, "Is your mom or dad home?" His dad. My dad. But I kept that information to myself, choosing instead to respect his parents' right to disclose that truth when they were ready. He turned back into the house, and a moment later, a woman returned to me, my dad's wife. I could see that look of uncertainty on her face, so quickly I answered the question I assumed she was wondering. "Hi, I'm Holly. I'm Julie's daughter." We stared at each other. We both knew, but neither of us mentioned the elephant in the room, the fact that I was her husband's daughter. What's she gonna do, I wondered. Is she gonna slam the door in my face? Am I about to get cussed out? Instead, she pushed open the screen door and invited me in. I stepped into the house, managing to play it cool, nonchalant even. But inside, I was screaming. I cannot believe this. I am in my dad's house. This was the closest I had ever been to him before. The first thing I noticed was a painting of Jesus on the wall. You know, the one with the creepy eyes that follow you around the room? It was an exact replica of one that hung on mine and my mom's dining room wall, and perhaps on yours too. At the welcoming sight of it, I let out a long, shaky breath, not even realizing that I'd been holding it. The next thing I knew, her arm was wrapped around my shoulder. I must have looked like a deer in headlights. Oh my God, what is happening? She pulled me in close, and gently she whispered, "I'm glad you're here." In all the years I had fantasized about this moment, In all the pretend scenarios I had made up in my head about what could happen, never in my wildest dreams did I see this happening. I was shocked. Yet, I managed to muster out a sincere, "Me too." And I really, really meant it. I was so glad to be there. I walked down a hallway with her arms still wrapped around me when a diapered toddler ran up to her. She embraced him and told me his name. He gave me that shy look of distrust that little kids give, and I felt a sting. I was just a stranger to him, but I longed to know him as intimately as everyone else in this house knew him. To be someone who could scoop him up and bring him comfort. Would he ever trust me? Would I ever get that chance? I was on a wild roller coaster of emotions, feeling exhilarated to be welcomed into this home, yet heartbroken to feel like a foreigner with my own blood relatives. And then, the next thing I knew, all of a sudden, and yet after a long 18-year wait, I was about to meet my dad. She called him over and discreetly explained who I was, simply just saying the daughter of an old friend. He shook my hand, giving me a warm smile. I was gazing into his dark eyes that matched my own, but it was like I was searching for something, waiting for something. Is he going to give me an explanation for his absence in my life? An apology for not pursuing a relationship with me? An acknowledgement that it was his loss? Some reason as to why I wasn't worthy enough for him. None of those things happened, though. There were no "I'm sorry's" uttered, no confessions made, no professions of love were given. Even still, it was a moment to be remembered. I could feel my life shifting, even as I stood there making the kind of small talk that's usually reserved for strangers with my dad. This was the beginning of something. I didn't yet know what, but tonight, 25 years later, I can tell you exactly how that knock on that door changed the trajectory of my life. I went on to build a long-distance relationship with my dad, my stepmom, and my 4 siblings. I still, to this day, have every single piece of mail any of them ever sent me. And in 2004, my husband and I made a big decision when we packed up from our home in Wisconsin and relocated to the Champaign area to experience life right alongside all of them. It wasn't a decision that we made lightly, knowing that my mom would have preferred to have us closer to her. But she has been nothing but supportive of me building a relationship with this side of my family. And can I just say, to all the single moms out there, you are rock stars. Yeah. I had the courage to knock on that door because I was raised by a fierce, independent, incredible woman. And it's because of her that I've had the opportunity to experience holidays and birthdays and life with my dad as we were welcomed into the family as if we'd always been a part of it. My entire childhood, I was just a stranger to my dad. And ironically, in the last couple of years, I became a stranger to him again as his dementia became more and more advanced. Even though he had no clue who I was, I still visited him as often as possible when he was in the hospital last fall for a couple of months, and again after he was transferred to a nursing home. And I had the distinct honor of being in the room with him and my family when he transitioned out of this world and took his final breath just last month. My message to you is simple. Knock on that door. Whatever your door is. An out-of-state move, a career change, a potential relationship. Sure, you don't know what'll happen if you walk through that door, but you just might be standing on the other side of one of the greatest decisions of your life.